For our next panel, AI empowering highly autonomous networks powered by Huawei, where we will explore the efforts being made in advancing level 4 autonomous networks and the critical role AI and Gen AI plays in achieving this. So please join me in welcoming the following panelists. We have Amaru Chavez-Pujol, CTIO of Bayobab, Nejla Al-Kaabi, Head of AI Acting, DO, Fernando Camacho, Co-Chair Autonomous Networks Project, TM Forum, and Autonomous Networks Product Director, Huawei Technologies, Ireland. And this panel is going to be moderated by Christine Ziadeh, Group Director of Content, Telecom Review Group. Let's give them all a big round of applause.
Welcome everyone to this afternoon, kind of afternoon session. It's right before lunch. We've talked about AI a lot today, but this one will be particularly different because we will focus more on how AI is empowering highly autonomous networks. And as Hadi mentioned, the session is powered by Huawei, one of our long-standing partners and sponsors. I have today with me Nejla from DO, Fernando from Huawei, and Amaru from Bayobab. As you can see, it's a diverse mix of telecom operators, telecom wholesale operators, and a vendor, of course. So we will discuss this topic from different angles. Fernando, my first question will go to you. So, take complexity, create simplicity is the supreme principle of autonomous driving network. How do you interpret this slogan?
Thank you, Christine, first of all, for inviting me to the panel. And I think it's my first time in this summit. I think it's great. So let me first of all try to explain. So autonomous driving network, or ADN as we call it for short, is one of the core strategies in Huawei 2030 report. It's actually a response for the industry for the autonomous network. Now, the slogan, take complexity, create simplicity, really, we all understand that the telecoms network are becoming more and more complex. We're bringing new technologies, evolving technologies, still with the current technologies in place. So really, really complex to operate and maintain those networks. But really, the vision of autonomous network is what we call from the Forum point of view, is the zero touch, zero trouble, and zero weight networks, really. This is what we expect in the customer experience to have. So they will have services which are always available. They will have services that don't provide, they don't take any time or little time to wait for until they are delivered. So it is really what all of these Zero X experience is supposed to deliver through the intelligent infrastructure and agile operations. Huawei ADN really is providing this select customer experience by providing a number of capabilities, which are the self-fulfillment, self-healing, self-optimization. So really, this is the key of that slogan. We are taking the complexity of the new technologies, the new networks, and we're making them simple. The autonomous networks are not simple themselves, but we're making it simple because of this customer experience is going to be much simpler from the customer point of view. But it's not only just about the customer experience. Really, this autonomous network also bringing business value. You can have additional services, new growth, because obviously you can have many more services which can be bring to market at a much quicker pace. And also from the efficiency point of view. Obviously, operational efficiency, energy efficiency, these autonomous networks are going to bring many, many new values into our telcos.
Of course, yeah. So the main purpose of AI is technically to simplify processes. Nejla, in your opinion, so AI and generative AI are a very popular approach to realize network autonomy. So in your opinion, and for DO's opinion also, how can AI in particular empower this process and the whole automation process?
First of all, I would like also to say good afternoon. This is also my first time in Telecom Review, and I'm very proud to represent DO and basically the AI function. Before I answer your question, Christine, I think I'm rightly, if I'm assuming that all our corporates and all the audience here in their corporates have a digital transformation program. And the concept of digital transformation is built on a premise that it is a journey and there's no final destination. And we are always going to see new technologies coming up, and we have to adopt it, and we have to recalibrate ourselves and digital transformation towards this technology. Generative AI in specific took us all in awe 2 years ago with its incredible capabilities. And it really, in a way, it shook us all, wherever you are in your journey in the digital transformation, how we are going to adapt this technology. And in a way, it changes the rules of the game.
Exactly.
You know, the pace is different. We cannot even catch it. There is always a new update to the LLMs. We move from LLMs to small LLMs. We are talking about agentic architecture. We are talking about different kind of high computational powers out there. We are talking about different languages being used in these LLMs. So there is a base that is mandating us to adopt it as soon as possible, changing how we are looking our digital transformation program. The autonomous network is part of an umbrella in DO. So it's part of our digital transformation umbrella within DO. In my opinion, I strongly believe that generative AI will be able to make our network human. Mm-hmm. To humanize our network. The network will have a voice to speak, to complain, to tell you there is something wrong with me that will happen, and this is the report, and I advise you to do 1, 2, 3, 4. It will be enable us to talk to this network and to, as in my own language, currently in English, but I think in the near future, we'll be able to speak to this network with different languages. And within DO, because we are pretty much, I would say, mature in our data layer, and as our colleague or a speaker from Glasgow/Cisco said that you have to enable the access to the data. I think we are pretty much there. We have well-structured data stack that all our network performance alarms are being gathered. So all of this data is currently in that big repository of our data lake. With generative AI, I'll be able to speak to the data. And coming from IT, I'll be able to speak for it. People from business who do not speak telecom also can speak to my network. So I think generative AI will humanize my network. I think it will be amazingly big transformation in becoming an autonomous network.
Perfect, and I agree with you. Amaru, what is your opinion on this subject? Like, how is AI empowering the whole network automation process?
Yes, thank you, Christine. I may only add that, as it has been already said, AI is a major game changer. It's a major game changer, but we have to use it wisely. On the sense that being a generative pre-trained model, you have to feed information to it. If you know how to feed information correctly, you can get very good answers. Now, going to the applications. Besides being a game changer, basically it's an immense advantage over any other competitor when you deploy it first. In the context of telecom networks, for instance, the holy grail, what we're looking for, is self-healing networks, autonomous networks that are able to correct parameters and reconfigure itself on the fly. Either when special situations happen, like outages, power outages, telecom link outages, or any external situation that affects the well-being of a network, rather than running around and looking for answers and try to reconfigure things, the generative AI should be able to, understanding the parameters, being able to reconfigure either automatically or suggest the configuration that you have to apply at the moment. For instance, I believe that everybody here represents, directly or indirectly, a telecom services company, and these services are considered to be mission critical, company critical, sometimes country critical, and we can never afford downtime. So every time that there is anything affecting the performance of the network, we have to react very, very quickly. In order to do that, artificial intelligence in the form of generative pre-trained models or time series forecasting for predictive maintenance are a significant step forward. It's a quantum leap forward to be able to provide networks that are stable, that are really, truly intelligent, and we can guarantee a continuous service.
Thank you. Fernando, in terms of autonomous networks, can you tell us more about the latest practices and plans in terms of level 4?
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, I work for Huawei, but also my role is as a co-chair of the Autonomous Network Project in the TM Forum. In the TM Forum, we're doing a lot of work in defining really what the autonomous network are, and also defining really what level 4, reaching level 4 means. There are a number of operators, actually many operators, that are claiming that they're going to be level 4 by 2025, 4 weeks, actually from towards the beginning of 2025. But really, a couple of weeks ago, in the TM Forum, we released a new white paper, version 6 of the Autonomous Network white paper, where we explained that actually reaching level 4 is going to be probably a phased approach. Nobody's going to be able to be level 4 by the beginning of next year, really. So we are looking at a phased approach, as I said. Maybe there will be a number of high-value scenarios that we could really target to achieve in the next 2 to 3 years. Normally, there will be single domain scenarios, and then the more complicated cross-domain scenarios, I think we need to look into probably longer time frame, maybe the next 2 or 3 years later. But in the TM Forum, in this white paper, really, as I said, we're looking into try to prioritize what are these high-value scenarios that we want the operators to focus on. But again, it's not just talking about what are the priorities, but also how is not being level 4 just for the sake of being level 4. There must be a business value. There must be some technical values that bring in level 4 means. And really, we bring a lot of importance into trying to define what those values are. So we call that, we have a work stream with the key effectiveness indicators and the key value indicators. So really reaching level 4, what is going to mean for an operator, what are all these values that they're going to be able to achieve. We're also doing a work stream on trying to measure the level, the autonomy level. So we just finished a pilot a few weeks ago with around 20 operators, worldwide operators, and actually the average, we measured 2 different scenarios. One of them was the fault management for the RAN, the other one was the fault management for the core, and the average is around 2.5, 2.8 level of autonomy. So there is still quite a long way to get to the level 4, to the famous level 4. But for sure, level 4, really, we cannot get there without the AI. I think, as my esteemed colleagues have just mentioned, Gen AI, all the forms of AI are here to stay. We need to have an intelligent network to reach this famous level 4. There is an enormous difference between a level 3 and a level 4. The level 4, the network will take decisions for you. So the human operator can still be there over the loop, just supervising what the network is doing. But the network will take the decisions. Today, the human is taking the decision, assisted by tools, systems, etc. But to reach level 4, there is this enormous gap. And we cannot do that gap without artificial intelligence. This is why I think we need to have the artificial intelligence, we need to have Gen AI.
So,
sorry, the last point I wanted to make.
Go ahead.
In Huawei, actually, we released this year, back in NWC, we released the first telco-specific foundation model. Then in NWC Shanghai, we also released our ADN solution, bringing copilots and agents, copilots really that bring these intelligence language capabilities to communicate with the operators, to help the operators achieve the day-to-day role. But also the agents, which are these intelligent applications that can look at a problem, try to divide the problem into smaller chunks, and intelligently bring you an answer to the problem. So all in all, I think the industry is doing a lot on the autonomy, on reaching the level of autonomy. But as I say, AI is a must. We need to have it in order to reach that level 4.
So Najla, based on the points that Fernando mentioned, how do you describe the level of autonomy of DO, and how is DO leveraging AI to further achieve more autonomy?
The journey didn't start with a couple of years ago. It started actually in 2019 with the aspiration that we want a single point of truth for all our performance metrics and fault metrics for our networks and everything that make me aware of what's the status of my network. So if I will refer to the TM Forum level of autonomy, we had an unofficial, I would say, evaluation. We are between 2.1 and 2.4. With a disclaimer, I have to say it very, very loudly, we have some domains that really mature. They're really mature in autonomy, up to level 3. And while ones are still in the early stages. But something very important when we took this approach is to fulfill the first layer. So a team form is suggesting awareness, analysis, decision making, and execution, then intent. We are, in terms of awareness, we are pretty much advanced. We are in a situation or in a status that all our data is being collected and being consolidated. We are enriching this data with our hardware inventory, so we are also connected to our hardware. All our alarms or our performance is being also consolidated in the same data lake. What we have achieved now, and we have that will help us as a prerequisite to enabling AI, is establishing this unified vendor lock topology. So we already have now. I can understand now. What is the topology of my networks? What are hardware being implemented? What is the connectivity between all these elements, beside the alarms and beside the performance? The next step now, which I think we are taking it also with cautious, is the decision making. And this is, of course, a different paradigm shift. So you are taking out a human being that's making the decision with another machine. So a lot of ambiguity is there, a lot of uncertainty is there, a lot of risk coming with something like this. We have identified a number of use cases that would enable us to go further in advancing our maturity.
Are you facing any other challenges, like, for example, skills, like finding the correct skills for this?
Absolutely, I think who doesn't? When we started this journey, especially with generative AI, as I said, we keep calibrating ourselves with Eve technology. So 1 year ago, we have formed a task force, and it was very important to have it cross-functional, across all DO, and to be sponsored by our CEO. So it was very important to understand, and we took the bottom-up approach. So we talked to all the domains within DO, and specifically, of course, the network people have their own streams to understand what is their problem statements and how we can leverage them. So with this bottom-up approach, we reach a point to assess our AI readiness. So do we have gaps in people? Do we have gaps in skills? Do we have gaps in our technology stack? How about our security and governance? So we identified and understood what's the gaps, and we also understood our strength. We are already a cloud service providers. We have already started this machine learning, I would say, not a generative machine learning journey few years ago. So we were able to expedite some low-hanging fruit execute it as fast as possible to prove that to prove the confidence or that AI can bring me return of investments. And we are in this journey together across all two. In terms of skills, this is, of course, the responsibility of everybody in Do. So we are fully aware that we need to upskill everybody inside Do, educating everybody, especially if we want to scale up and we want to move it from a strange technology into something in your DNA. You have to do a lot of upskilling and training, especially with those who are in the factory pipeline.
Yeah.
But definitely everybody else also in Do.
Okay. Amaru, as a wholesale operator, and can you tell us more, how do you use AI to help your customers overcome certain challenges that they might face in terms of maybe subsea cable issues, or in terms of maybe rerouting? So,
Yes, certainly, Christine. I don't know where to start. I do agree that, like everybody, we are in the process of transforming the company from being not only data-driven, but be more based on intelligent technologies. And in order to do that, we have been, under the guidance of our CEO, deploying new solutions and new services for our customers. One of those solutions, for instance, is making sure that everything that is supposed to work like a Swiss clock does work like a Swiss clock. So I divide this answer into, number one is how we do what we do every day as perfect as possible, and how do we evolve. So if I take the day-by-day, the business-as-usual operations, yes, we have two large network operation center and a services operation center separately in two separate countries in Africa, overlooking the health of the network and the platforms. And we have to be very proactive. And it's very easy to say, oh, let's be proactive, that should be easy. No, you have to be proactive based on intelligence, based on your ability to do some predictions on what will be needed for maintenance purposes. And let me be very frank and very responsible when I say this. We can never predict or forecast that there's going to be an outage tomorrow, Wednesday, at 2:17 p.m. No, that doesn't exist. But given the parameters that we deal with every day from our very large multi-protocol layer switching network, we can predict when we are going to have some degradation on the service. Sometimes this degradation is caused by external situations. We operate in Africa with 26 subsea cables and over 130,000 kilometers of terrestrial fiber. So yes, we do have to face a lot of situations man-made or caused by acts of nature that affect our network. So we have to make sure that we have visibility of the data, ability to load data, and be able to predict by using models based on time series forecasting, as like mentioned before. So that's to make sure that what we're doing today, we can enhance and try to do it better. Now, how about the future? How's the future? We are in the business of providing telecommunication services, either wholesale mobility platforms or fixed network connectivity. Fixed network connectivity, either terrestrial, subsea, or satellite. So how do we evolve? How can we make it better? And this is where the generative AI can help us to transform from a purely communication services provider to maybe a digital services provider. That is where the AI can help us figure out how we can evolve our services based on the data that we get today. Performance data based on the requirements of our customers. And this is the part where we have to abandon the theory and roll up our sleeve and get very busy on what type of modeling we can use to these predictions, to creating new services, to creating new business models. So the game changes. So this is where we find ourselves, and I'm pretty sure that I would dare to say that most people in this room finds themselves how to improve our day-by-day operation and how to do to go to the next step.
Fernando, as you can see, like we have two different points of view. Do is currently on track to achieve its autonomous networks through AI. And for Bayobab, they are also planning to fully leverage AI. So we saw two different kind of business models here. In your opinion, what is the main point of content, of the main common point in terms of both, like for different industry players? What is the main point that all of them need to focus on in terms to achieve autonomous networks through AI?
So I think, obviously, the key thing here is that as long as we have humans in the loop, it's costing more time, effort, money to maintain your networks. And as we said earlier, whichever network you have, it's becoming more and more complex all the time because the technologies keep evolving and we're doing more things with the networks. So there is no question about it in my mind that we need to bring that intelligence to the network in order to move the network forward and faster as well. Many people many times ask me, it's just about efficiency, it's just about saving OPEX. It's not, it's really about making the network run better and faster, like this, with these self-fulfillment, self-healing, self-optimization capabilities, where really you don't, every time, I think, and as I mentioned earlier, you want the network to talk to you, tell you where the problems are, tell you where exactly you can locate the problem. Maybe you can fix it remotely, maybe you need to send a field engineer. If you send a field engineer, maybe that field engineer needs to have all the details that you have identified what the problem is. So bring that intelligence to the network in order to make the life of the human operator much faster. So I think, to me, that's the common thing. Let's just bring the intelligence to the network.
Yeah, more intelligence, the more the better, right?
The more the better, exactly. We cannot stop.
I think let's leave some time in case we have any questions. Any closing notes for you, Najla?
I'll just add to Fernando, maybe a good advice, and we also keeping it and do is not to derail from our objectives. So GenAI was really something, very sparky, and we want to do it everywhere. And but the objective should not always change, and you have a mission to accomplish. Maybe your way of doing it will change, but don't get distracted from the objective. Still adopting a technology like GenAI is very costly. It's very expensive, and it is also one of the reasons why we have established an dedicated AI function within Do, because we want to bring everybody together to utilize it in very efficient ways. So always, the pillars of your digital transformation should not always change with the emergence of a new technology. However, GenAI has done a lot of I would say changes in the rules of the game, but it's still, your values, your mission should be not highly impacted.
Yeah. And the change also was sudden, like all of a sudden we saw this new trend and we had to all adapt to it.
Yes.
Amaru, any closing notes?
Yes, if you allow me to elaborate more on how game changer this technology is, I think that we are just scratching the surface. Let us go back to what AI really is. AI basically is the ability that we are giving machines to algorithms to try to get to the same level of reasoning that we do. Okay, let's leave it at that point. So, what does it mean for the business, for our everyday life? That means that tasks that we can certainly do, AI can do it faster and maybe more accurately. Why? Because it's mathematically more accurate than what we can calculate, because computers can calculate faster and better than us, basically. So how do we translate that into a benefit for society? for the business, for our life. How we translate that is the ability of evolving what we do today, in our case, from a telecom operator to a digital services operator. And to a digital service operator is a whole different ballgame. It's the evolution of from deploying infrastructure and making sure the infrastructure works, like I mentioned, like a Swiss clock, it works every day like it's supposed to doing a value-added proposition for all stakeholders. How we are providing more information, more data, better decision-making, making more intelligent decisions. So I believe we're just scratching the surface. There is a lot of news around the world about generative AI and all its benefits, but the generative AI is just the entry point. What we can do with the additional intelligence that we are adding to our decision-making, now we can go to a whole different reality. Now we can go to the ability of having more stable operations, to have more efficient business cases, business plans, to be able to, like Fernando mentioned, to control our operating expenses, to be efficient on the expense side, to deploy capital expenditures more wisely, and basically to create more services. So I think that we're in a very exciting times. We are just scratching the surface, and there is more besides the Gen AI wave. We can continue discussing about the many applications that we will be seeing every day in every aspect of our life. So these are very exciting times, Christine.
Okay. Fernando, any last comments, closing notes?
I think, obviously, because I work a lot in collaboration projects like the TM Forum, I'm going to say this, but to me, we need to put the whole industry together in order to evolve towards this level 4, because it's not easy. It's not easy. Today, we have many use cases where AI is already in the network, doing some risk predictions or doing some reinforcement learning to do some optimization. We've done that, and it's working well. But again, from there to the big leap of letting the network take decisions by itself, making the decision to fix a network, optimize a network, fulfill new services, that is a big leap. So this is why I think the whole industry needs to push together. We need to identify what are the biggest challenges, where the risk, the security, what do you trust or don't trust with the AI. Also, we need to understand the priorities. Yes, people talk about level 4, but which process you want to be level 4? What are your key processes to target initially? All of that we need to bring the industry together, I believe. In Huawei, we're working strongly as well, trying to bring new solutions, and next year in NWC, we'll bring more our level 4, ADN level 4 solution to target some of these priorities, but it's not enough. The level 4 is going to take a few years to achieve, so we need to work together to do it.
Of course. So any questions from the audience? Yeah. Can someone bring the mic, please?
To all the panelists and the moderator. Thank you for allowing me to ask this question. It's mainly around the use of AI has obviously become a very important factor in all investments that operators are making today. But how are you handling, trust and governance aspects with respect to some of the use cases that you're handling? Are there certain KPIs? Are there certain policies? How are you going to go about it? Is it a policy consideration? Is it a technology consideration? Are you automating these practices, or is it just a business process that you're implementing to safeguard, the ethical considerations of using AI use cases? Maybe if Najla, you want to take it.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'll be honest, we are still in the early stages. We have identified I would call it wave 1 of use cases, and we started with the one that is least risky. We are fully aware, And there was also an agreement that as we are adopting GenAI, we will start by us becoming the adapter before we put it in front of our customer, due to the fact that it might be risky, it might impact our customers, also might invite a lot of unneeded problems. So we are still at the beginning. It doesn't mean we don't have already established data governance, because eventually your AI use cases is 90% your data. So we already have the data governance in place, and it is guiding us very well in filtering the use cases and deciding what's the best deployment model that will minimize the risk. Should we go on-premise or should we go on cloud? And even if we go on cloud, because we have done this before, we have IT solution on the cloud, and in which we are leveraging this data. So if I will talk about the security and privacy, it's very well established for any use case. When we talk about AI, there's other considerations like fairness, sustainability, accountability, explainability. This will be handled case by case. We are currently have a couple of use cases that will entail a high level deep level of detailing how we should deploy it, and to make sure that we are checking all the big boxes regarding the trust, the sustainability factors, and minimizing the risk. Would you like to answer also this question?
Any other questions?
Yes, if I may,
Would you
if
like
I may add
Yes, of course.
to the answer. Yes. There are a lot of ethical considerations regarding the use of AI, absolutely, and it must be regulated, absolutely, yes. And that's why it's important to understand where we're applying AI. If we're applying AI to network optimization, yes, there are not too many ethical discussions about network optimization, about self-healing networks, about predictive analytics. There is not too much discussion, but as we get closer to data that belongs to people, then yes, absolutely. We have to be very, very clear on the privacy of the data, and also on the potential creation of biases, and also hallucinations, which are quite common on pre-trained models. So there is a lot to do here, and that's something that is a combination about having the right regulations in place, the right internal procedures in the company in place, and the right technology, of course. And this is a subject that cannot be answered in an hour or in a day. This is something that is ongoing. Thank you.
Thank you, esteemed panelists, for the great discussion.
Thank you.